Hello, everyone. Welcome back to On Purpose, the number one health podcast in the world. Thanks to each and every one of you for learning, listening, and growing with us. Thank you so much for prioritizing your growth in work, self, and love. And like you know, every week, I'm trying to find guests that are going to give you really raw, authentic, genuine advice. People who are coming at this from new angles, new ideas, fresh perspectives that can genuinely help you transform your life and move it forward. And today's guest will not disappoint. I'm genuinely so grateful and excited for this person for making time, making space in their life, for coming on and being on the podcast. His name is Anthony William, and he's the originator of the global celery juice movement. He's a 4 times number 1 New York Times best-selling author, and today's the launch of his new book, which is called Celery Juice, the most powerful medicine of our time, healing millions worldwide. Anthony, thank you so much for being here.
Incredible introduction. I'm honored. I can't even believe it. It's so awesome being here.
Well, it's awesome. You had to do it all, so it's all true.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Happy to talk to your audience. So much to talk about. Lots to cover on health, things that are life-changing, things that move the needle. And that's what matters. You know, when you're sick with chronic illness and you're trying to get better and you can't move that needle forward and and you're stuck in it and you're just in the trenches of it all. And then something takes you further along and you finally start experiencing a benefit. You start getting better. Like say the celery juice is one of the most powerful healing tools out there. And when you start moving forward, it's life-changing like no other. When people are stuck, when they're actually really stuck in the trenches of what I call hell, basically chronic illness, and they finally see the light. And that matters. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely. And I love that energy, man, because I think you're so right that so many of us today are so stuck. And a lot of the time we've tried everything. Or I hear that a lot where people are like, I've tried everything. Like I've been to my doctor, I've been to this person. Like I tried my weird thing that my aunt comes up with. Like, I've tried all of these things.
And the thing is, it's not like those are bad. Those are all good things because everybody's got a piece of the puzzle. You got the best doctors out there. You got functional medicine doctors. You got alternative guys. You got conventional guys, girls, all of them. They're all working hard on their patients and people. People have compassion. Doctors are the most incredible people. The compassion to wake up in the morning, go to the office and work on person after person after person like they do and hear their stories and hear their cries. Doctors are unbelievable. And there's a lot of good tools out there, right? But what happens is there's some things people don't even know about yet that plug into what they're doing. Say they're doing a keto diet, or say they're doing a paleo diet, say they're doing a vegan diet, say they're doing a plant-based diet, and they're not getting all the results they need. And they're all confused and everybody's flip-flopping from vegan to paleo to vegan, and everybody is all upset. But when you plug in something like the celery juice and you know how to use it, you can move forward wherever you are. You can plug this into what you're doing. It's tools like that literally move the needle and change the lives of millions. And right now, hundreds of millions are drinking celery juice. It's the most powerful healing movement of our time and day. And I want everybody to actually be part of it because why miss out? What are you going to do? You're not going to do it? You're not going to partake in something that could change your life? Absolutely. So I want everybody to know this isn't one of those scams or farces. This is that powerful. When you use this herbal medicine, something changes inside of us.
I love that. And I can't wait to uncover that with you in this podcast and in the live that we're about to do. I can't wait to get into all the details. But I want to take it backwards slightly.
Sure.
Because I want people to understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
And I want people to understand your background, your journey, and just behind the mind, inside the mind of Anthony. So I want to go back to you being 4 years old.
Yeah.
And you're 4 years old, and you literally, without any help, any support, whatever it is, you literally let your grandmother know.
She had lung cancer.
She had lung cancer.
Yeah.
She was symptom-free. Like no one knew at that time.
Not at all. No.
And then they checked.
Yeah.
And you were spot on.
Yeah. Woke up one morning and heard a voice perfectly clear. People say, wait a minute, how does he get this advanced medical information that's decades ahead of research and science? I know scientists, I know incredible doctors, lab technicians, and they say his information is advanced. Whether anybody likes it or not, whether the source he hears it from you don't agree with or you're not happy about, this voice he hears that he heard at 4 years old that diagnosed his grandmother lung cancer. And from there on, this is all he's ever done. And people are like, hey, you know what? I don't know. Do I trust this? And I totally understand. I totally get it. A guy that hears a voice, when you really know the origin of it, it's hard. But when lab technicians and scientists and doctors that are elevated in the field of medicine say his advanced information, like Epstein-Barr causing Hashimoto's thyroiditis, he was the first to actually bring that out before they even knew that's what was happening. And when they say, hey, he's advanced with this information and it's about getting people better, we got to kick back a little bit. We got to calm down and say, okay, let's listen to this because this is different. This is actually really helping people. And at 4 years old, that's what happened. It was information coming through perfectly clear. I heard it straight in a voice right to me. And I've been using that ever since, not just my grandmother with that. What happened was, in 1975, in the fall of 1975, had another family member with a back problem that wouldn't ease off. The doctors didn't know what was really causing the back problem. It wasn't an injury. It was an inflammatory condition, a mystery back injury or a mystery back inflamed problem where they're suffering. They couldn't walk, right? In late 1975, Spirit, which I call Spirit, the voice said celery juice. This is when it started. Celery juice for this family member. We didn't have really any kind of juicer. Look what year it is. Look what's going on. We weren't prepared. They had the blender, the beat up old blender. We ground up that celery, right? And we strained it with a cheesecloth and we just strained it out. And a family member was a skeptic about celery juice. Well, what do you mean celery juice? Drank it and started recovering that night, slowly recovering. And then the end of the week, out of the woods with his back problem, walking. And it's that kind of thing right there. And yes, the voice tells me what to do. So that's what I've done. Dedicated my life helping people, but giving them information that even doctors want to know. There are thousands of doctors in this country alone with the Medical Medium Series books in their offices. Patients have brought them in and the doctors they're smart. They read it and say, wait a minute. This is different. Whoa, wait, he's talking about viruses. He's talking about pathogens. He's talking about things we don't know about viruses and pathogens. That's not anywhere. And also what to do, which is one of the tools, the celery juice.
What I'm more interested in, because I've seen all of that research. I've seen people say, of all of your incredible background and the studies and the research and the fact that it's worked for people, how did you start to trust that voice? Because I almost feel like that's sometimes harder. It's like trusting your own voice, trusting a voice that's coming to you. How was that process for you?
You know what it is when you see it working in front of your own eyes.
The results.
When I was 13 years old and a stock boy in a little grocery store, and that voice is telling me, why someone has diabetes or what's going on or what's happening with them or the brain tumor that they have or something that's going on. And the voice is telling me what's happening inside their bodies and what they need. You can't avoid it. You can't ignore it. It's not one of those things you just say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not what you're in it and you go with it and you keep on working forward to help people and change their lives. It's so critical.
Absolutely. So let's get on to the celery juice.
Yeah,
how did you start discovering the secret behind this herb? Like, how did you start seeing that it had such a powerful effect? Like, how did you first uncover? Because I think there are just so many vegetables out there. You can make so many juices.
Yeah.
People have drank probably the wrong juices for such a long time.
Yeah.
But where did it start?
All juices are great. That's the thing. All juices are great. They offer benefits. And a lot of people, they get confused and they say, well, why would celery juice by itself do anything for you? And one of the reasons is it's an herb. It's not a vegetable. It's an actual herb, and herbal medicine is powerful. I mean, if anybody's listening out here, do you like herbs on any level? What herbs are your favorite? There's so many people that are into they're into herbs. That's the whole thing. You got Chinese medicine, you got Ayurvedic, you got all this. Herbs are powerful. And there's herbalists out there, there's doctors out there, natural doctors, and herbs are a big part of our lives. Well, why do they do things for us? Because they're very healing. Well, celery has been, no one knew. And that's the thing. I mean, even when I heard it from the voice originally, perfectly clear, juice the celery, it's an herb. I was even like, wait a minute, no, it's a celery stick. What do you mean? Yeah. This is a vegetable that no one cares about and never really cared about. And Spirit's like, it's not a vegetable. It's an herb. It's herbal medicine. You extract it in a large quantity. And when you do that, that's when the miracles happen. And then, someone might say, wait a minute, you have to leave the fiber. You have to leave the pulp. Juicing's not good. You're leaving like nutrition behind, the fiber and the pulp. But what they don't understand is chamomile tea, right? Do you eat the tea bag after you've had you go out with a friend, right? Do you cut open that tea bag and say, wait a minute, I got to get this fiber. I got to get this pulp here because that's where the nutrition is. No, the medicine comes from the chamomile, and that's what you're getting, that medicine to relax you, to calm you, the things that people like. Same thing with other herbs and herbal teas and so forth. Of course, you can eat some of the herbs, but they're better extracted, the medicine. So it's the power of that. This is an herbal tonic, an herbal elixir. And what you'll see out there is dietitians who are amazing people or nutritionists who are amazing people. What they'll do is they'll be confused and be like, no, leave the pulp and fiber. Anthony William doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't want to just have that. And they don't know. This is herbal medicine. You're extracting a large quantity of this incredible, mysterious tonic. Why is it mysterious? Science and research hasn't looked into what is in celery yet. Barely any information out there. Another reason why people don't know. But we're getting there. We're actually getting there.
We are getting there. And you're leading that movement, which I absolutely love. Like, it's incredible. Like, you're really pushing that out there. And I think it's so important that we do live in a time where we are allowing unique voices to come to the fore.
Yeah.
Maybe in 1975 and years after that, people would have been closed to these things. But now people are seeing also the lack of certain research and certain studies and recognizing that there are alternatives. Tell me, when you started uncovering celery juice, what are the key issues that you're seeing celery juice benefit? What are the key challenges that people are experiencing?
Autoimmune disease.
I know there's a big list.
Oh my God. Big list. People dealing with chronic illness. When I call chronic illness, symptoms that won't alleviate or come constantly or on and off intermittently, but they don't go away technically. What could that be? Chronic fatigue syndrome, ME chronic fatigue syndrome, right? Lyme disease, multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, lupus. These are just some things. Eczema and psoriasis, rosacea, different conditions people suffer from and all this. Acne, there's SIBO. All of these things, you could just keep on going on. Things that people are plagued with, and the fatigue is one of them. That's a big one. When moms can't get out and they can't get out of the house and run the house and run their careers and take care of their children because they can barely function because of severe brain fog, chronic fatigue syndrome, and not have real answers. And the fibromyalgia and the rheumatoid arthritis and all these things people suffer with, these are the things celery juice starts to move the needle with. It's these things. It's different when someone's exercising every day, 2 hours a day. They feel good. They're young. They're strong in the moment. They haven't gotten sick yet in their lives. They haven't been there. And they're trying celery juice for a week and they're like, I'm not sure what I'm noticing. I think there might have been energy. I don't know. But then you take someone who's been to 50 doctors, okay, been through hell and back, struggled, suffered, been told they're crazy, okay, or given 3 or 4 different diagnoses. And then you take somebody like that and they've tried everything. They've been on every diet. They've been to every functional medicine doctor. They've been to every single conventional doctor, everybody they can under the sun. And then they try celery juice for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 30 days, for anything, for 5 days. And they're like, oh my God, I'm getting relief for the first time. And I've tried everything. I have 50 supplements piled up in my house, in my cupboards. I got all this food I buy every day from all these different diet plans. I talk to all these different doctors. I'm online looking for information. And celery juice is moving the needle and it's getting me better. And that's why it's here. There's something really important to understand here. Health trends are not propelled like this. This is propelled because people are actually healing. That's the difference. This is an organic movement. This is a trend or something more powerful above a trend. And people don't realize this yet.
That's the truth.
Naysayers are too late for the party. They can complain and cry and say, oh, there's no science behind it. what else? And there's so many things. Someone said recently, oh, forget celery juice. You have to eat all the rainbow of the colors. Where's the science proving that if you eat every rainbow in the color that you're going to fix your chronic illness? Where's that science? There's no science on that about what someone actually healing a chronic illness moving forward because they're eating all the rainbows and the colors. Of course you want all the colors in the foods and you want all the different foods. I never said you know that would be bad or good or not. I said that's great. But celery juice is a medicine that you can bring into everything you're doing, and it's really changing lives. It's incredible. I know I keep on saying that. It's only because it actually is working. Other health trends are propelled by other things. There's tremendous monetary behind it, like monetary involvement pushing that trend. So you take all that collagen, of course. So you take all of that, whatever it is. So you take all that apple cider vinegar. So you take it all. There's money, which, hey, that's just how the world works. We know that. And there's money propelling that. Well, the only thing propelling celery juice is millions of people getting benefits and telling their story without being prompted or paid to do it. It's never happened in history before. And if you don't like that idea, I don't know what to tell you. Or if you don't like the idea of there's no science behind celery juice yet, you know what? Tell that to someone who suffered and struggled, pushed through their day, and they realize, see, when you get sick, you realize science and research doesn't have answers for chronic illness. Sure, there's life-saving medicine out there. Sure, if you get into a car accident, there's life-saving medicine. I know incredible ER doctors. I know amazing surgeons, actually, that do procedures that save our lives in all kinds of different problems we have. But let me tell you this right here, Jay, okay? When you're sick and you're struggling and you're suffering and you've been to 20 doctors, okay, you realize fast science and research dropped the ball somewhere. Where? Maybe people don't know, but they dropped it, and they dropped it hard because people have been suffering and struggling. There's over 250 million Americans in the U.S. that have a symptom that won't go away. Getting worse, and that's where we're heading. We're heading into the land of the lost, getting worse with chronic illness. And so you quickly learn, especially young, you're 20 years old, 22 years old, you get sick, you're 25 years old, you get sick, you quickly learn right there. Science and research isn't what everybody was saying it is when it comes down to, wait, I got Lyme disease? What do you mean? Is it getting better? It's not. I'm trying this. I'm trying antibiotics. Wait, now I have multiple sclerosis? Or what is this symptom? Anxiety? It's crippling? Depression? And you realize science and research doesn't know anything about these things. So then where are we then? Someone said to me, Jay, they said, there's no science and research to your information. There's no science and research to celery juice. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know science and research fixed every chronic ill person. I didn't know we have nobody suffering. I didn't know no one was sick and going to 50 doctors. And that's the world today. Celery juice is this barrier breaker. It's like, okay, get ready, because this is one of the most powerful tools that's going to move you forward.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with you. Like, I think everything you've just stated there, I agree with the fact that science and research is measuring that which has happened.
Yeah.
Right? It's rarely, we call it breakthrough science, but it's not breakthrough because it has to watch something for a significant amount of time or years. You know what I mean? Like, whereas these ideas or these unique things that come out, they get tested over time.
Yeah.
It's never, you can't test something in 2 seconds and then talk about it.
Yeah. And science and research is amazing. We need it.
Agreed.
I'm all for it. In fact, some incredible things do happen from it, but they're usually theories that have to be proven somehow.
Correct.
Right? And then you have the investors behind it to prove it. And then in the end, you don't know what you have because it changes 10 years later, where all of a sudden, wait, we were wrong. Now we have a whole bunch of things. We're saying now it's this way.
Yeah, and that's happened so many times.
It's really difficult for people. You know, it's incredible. I mean, at the same level, I've seen people say, why drink celery juice? You're better off just putting a little bit of sea salt or a little bit of Himalayan rock salt right in your water and it'll do better. Because research in science doesn't know anything about celery juice. Research in science doesn't know anything about putting Himalayan sea salt in your water. And then that's in the same breath, they'll say something research in science hasn't even studied yet either. And they'll say, well, make sure you do this. Put salt in your water. It's going to help you so much better than celery juice because there's no science behind celery juice. It's almost like, do you know what you just said? It's incredible. So
Wow, I didn't know there was so much hate for celery juice.
Well, you know what it is that
people got a lot of time on their hands. You got like hating on celery juice. It doesn't sound like the worst thing to hate.
When you have something this powerful
and
moving forward to this degree and this fast, you got all the stores selling out with their celery. It's all going. You got farms scrambling to actually grow it as fast as they can, and get land up and grow it and grow it. You know, farms don't make any money. I mean, they're all subsidized, most of them. You know how they struggle as it is. When you see all that, people start getting nervous. And then when celery juice is helping millions of people really fast, I think it's a threat in many ways to so many industries. So there's love for celery juice, tons of love out there. But also you got the people saying, hey, wait a minute, leave your fiber and pulp in there. No, leave your fiber and pulp in all the other vegetables and stuff. Use it. But this, extract it like a medicine.
Right. Tell me about some of the stories that you've seen in your life of people's transformations, whether it was from a chronic illness. Just tell me a couple, one or two stories or examples where you've really seen people who've transformed through celery juice.
Debilitating eczema, debilitating psoriasis, where people suffer, they can't wear clothes. They can't leave the house because they can't put clothing on their skin. And they're just doing the steroids. They've tried the steroids. They tried different things. They've seen so many doctors. They suffer. Their skin's cracking and bleeding everywhere. And celery juice brought into their lives and used correctly, like I talk about in the celery juice book. And it gets them to clear it up. They start to see benefits. I mean, miraculous cases reversed. It's incredible. I'm not just talking about it got a little bit better. I know many cases, many of them over the years and now today, where they get rid of that debilitating eczema, where they were crying. They cried. They had to be on painkillers. They couldn't even move their arms and legs, and they got through it on the other side of it. Also debilitating chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, getting people forward with that. People with Lyme disease, celery juice is all of a sudden the very thing that's now changing everything with their diagnosis that they've got, or no diagnosis, where doctors are confused and they're just sick and they're home and they got high anxiety and depression. I've seen the celery juice do something for these people, but for decades I've seen it before it exploded, before the publication of the Medical Medium series books in 2015. It was already building. It was a quiet storm. I think it snuck up on everybody. It snuck up on the world. I think this health trend, or whatever we want to call it now, has snuck up in a way and became a tidal wave just last year. It finally became this big tidal wave. And I always say to people, you know what? If you learn about it now, and it's important. So
and I also think that it's a tidal wave for those who are really looking. And then there is a lot of us who are interested, but we don't find out until someone brings it to the front of our minds, the front of our eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's like until someone really breaks it down for you, like you have in this book, like until someone really explains to you the process of why it works, how to take it, like you've done in this book. Like I feel like even then, if that doesn't happen, a lot of these trends just go over our heads.
Absolutely.
Right? And for most people, because these trends feel like it's still too hard.
Yeah.
Or it's like a short-term thing. Like, I'm going to I watched a video and I'm going to try it for a week, but I don't have a process.
Yeah.
Tell us about the process that you outline in this book and how you've made it so simple.
There's over 100 questions always asked. How do I drink celery juice? What do I do? Do I put my blender with my other food?
I want to know.
It's all that. It has to be by itself. It has to be by itself in a certain amount. 16 ounces is where you want to be to start with. It's 16 ounces of it, juiced fresh. Very important. So you could juice it at home fresh, okay? You can go to a juice place. I do recommend don't do the HPP thing, which is high pressure pasteurization. I mean, there's nothing wrong with HPP. I mean, you can do other juices that are HPP. You go into health food stores, grocery stores, you see all those drinks. They look like they're really fresh. They look like they were just done yesterday, but they got a date on them for a couple of weeks because it's high pressure pasteurization. Now, I noticed that that's happening with celery juice. Don't get confused by that. Don't pick that one, because if you pick that one, it's going to be hindered. It's going to lose its It's healing benefits. It's potency. Exactly. You want it juice fresh. Go to your juice bars. Go to health food stores that will juice it right in front of you. Make sure it's done right there. Do it at home. And that's where the magic happens. So there is going to be, there is a confusion developing where, you get the bottled celery juice now sitting on there and people are like, well, that must be as good as everything else. And if they're not experiencing the benefits they need from drinking it, then they get thwarted by it. They get pushed off by it.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. I answer lots of questions. Can you do it while you're pregnant? Yeah, you can do celery juice. Can you do it while you're breastfeeding? Yes. So there's just so many questions. These are just a few.
Yeah, and it has to be consumed straight after. It can't be. That's why you
want to. You can wait a little bit. You can wait hours later. You can even wait a day later. Have it in the fridge. And that will still be better than say something like in the store at high pressure pasteurization, on there with a long shelf.
But
date.
Ideally straight away.
Yeah.
Ideally that's going to have the most potency.
Yeah. And I talk about what's in it that hasn't been discovered yet. And if someone says, well, how would he know this voice he hears? How would I know Epstein-Barr was the cause of thyroid problems? And I was the guy long before talking about it everywhere, talking about it to doctors, talking about it, them publishing and everything else. And now they're saying, hey, science and research just found there's a link to Epstein-Barr to thyroid disease, thyroid disorders. Same thing with the celery juice. Yes. I hear the information. I know what's in it. There's something called sodium cluster salts. That's the antiviral. That's the phytochemical compound. It's this sodium cluster salt. Somebody might say, well, what is that? It's a subgroup of sodium undiscovered by research and science. You think that we only have one type of sodium, that's it on the planet, and that's it? No, there's more than that. It's a subgroup. It's a different thing going on in celery. It's not in anything else. They're going to find it down the road. They probably won't call it sodium cluster salts. They're not going to give me that credit. They're probably not going to pat me on the back and be like, yeah, they're going to name it something else, obviously. But that's what it is. It kills bugs. Here's the deal. I'll just simplify it. People are sick because they got bugs. That's it. Your Hashimoto's thyroiditis, your rheumatoid arthritis, bugs cause this. It's not your body attacking itself. It's bugs. It's pathogens. It's viruses. It's bacteria. So when people have their fibro, there's a bug involved. That's what this is. Chronic fatigue syndrome, there's a bug. So what's going on is we're filled with bugs. I know that's kind of annoying. We got viruses like Epstein-Barr. We got the simplexes in us wreaking havoc. We got the HHV6s. We have shingles viruses. We have bacteria. And people have these bugs in them. We live with them. They create inflammation. Meanwhile, the food wars that are going on, the vegans against the paleos and the keto and everything else, and everybody's fighting each other, but nobody realizes you guys are all dealing with Epstein-Barr's, dealing with streptococcus, you're dealing with strep and different viruses. And the reason why celery juice is working is because the sodium cluster salts in celery juice is annihilating a lot of bugs in people. It's breaking it down, it's killing them, it's cleaning up their livers, it's getting the bugs out of the livers, and that's why their inflammation is actually getting better and better.
Wow, amazing. And I was looking at something you were saying about how it's also stopping the vicious cycle of addiction.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. How does that work?
Well,
that seems like a totally different challenge in my head, at least, like from an uninformed point of view. So how is celery juice even helping people with addiction?
Well, you know what? It revives your liver. It starts to restore it. Your liver can actually hold more what's called glycogen, glucose, because that's what it needs to do. It needs to store glucose and glycogen, it's the very thing that runs our blood sugar throughout our body. And when our blood sugar is unstable and it's imbalanced, we tend to fall prey to addiction really easy. Plus electrolytes. We all lack electrolytes. So when you eat a food of any kind or you drink water, you get some electrolytes naturally occurring. Any kind of food you eat, there's a natural occurring electrolyte going on there, right? Well, those are pieces you're collecting all day long. What did you have for breakfast? There's some electrolytes in it. What did you have for lunch? There's a few more electrolytes in it. And then dinner, a few more, or during the day. There's electrolytes in things we're consuming, but we're never getting enough at once. We're never getting the whole electrolyte family at once, right on the neurons, right with the neurotransmitter chemicals using them, right? All of this happening. Celery juice is like a complete electrolyte, still undiscovered by research and science. Of course, research knows that there's antioxidants in celery juice. Of course, they know there's vitamin A and K in there. It's funny, and I've heard somebody say, maybe people are getting better because of the vitamin A and K. And I'm like, What about the vitamin A and K that's in every other fruit and vegetable? What about all of that? Plus all the supplements people you're still not moving forward. Why is this doing it? Sure. Does it have a different vitamin A and K? What it does have, though, is it has a full, complete electrolyte. It goes to the brain fast and easy, clings onto the neurons, revives tired, dehydrated neurotransmitter chemicals, starts to actually bring those back so your electrical impulses fire fast so you can be quick talking, so you can actually hear, you can actually think what you're saying. It all comes, the brain fog goes away. Everything starts clearing up. And when those electrolytes hit those neurons and spark that fire, and those electrical impulses are cruising through those neurons, and that is precious. That is like gold right there. And that's another reason why addiction could stop. So you want to bring it back to addiction. When those electrolytes are hitting all those neurons, your electrical impulses are firing and running through those neurons, and all that's happening, and you're starting to think clear, and your brain fog's backing down, you don't fall prey to addiction right there. That alone. The blood sugar starts to balance out because your liver's healing and getting better. Your glucose reserves in your liver are storing back up so it can control part of the blood sugar problem that we deal with, because it's not just the pancreas. And when all that's happening, you get stronger. Your mind gets stronger. Your control gets stronger. You know what? You take control over your life. And that's what celery juice. If you want one simple thing from me right there, you know what? Use celery juice to help take control over your life. Absolutely. Because it can be one of those tools. I'm not saying it fixes everything and anything in one shot. I'm not saying this is literally the miracle that will fix it all. No, because everybody else is doing good things. This is that thing that pushes it over the edge.
Absolutely.
To where you need to go.
And that's your energy and your love for celery juice is infectious and contagious. I don't know anyone in this room right now who is not dedicated to at least testing it, which is awesome. But tell me about some of the lifestyle and diet habits that can cause a conflict or negate the amazing benefits of celery juice. What is it that we're doing in our lifestyle or our diet that could slow down or go against the benefits of celery juice?
All right, I'll tell you right now. Look, I know this is going to get everybody upset, okay, in the audience, but probably not everybody, but most everybody. If there's something to take out of your diet, wherever you stand, whatever aisle you're on, whatever diet belief system you are, that you're involved with, subscribe to, whatever it is, you need to take eggs out. So chicken eggs have to come out of your diet. Now, I hate to be the breaker of this news or the person that has to break this news to everybody, but what I want to tell you is the most important part, the most important part of this podcast probably for anybody to take in is we live with these bugs inside of us that create all of our illnesses. Whether it's not happening now, say we're younger, but it'll happen later when we're turning 40. It'll happen later when we're 45. It'll happen, whatever it is. We have these bugs in us, like the viruses and the bacteria, the pathogens that are in us. Eggs feed the pathogens. Bottom line, no matter what you believe in out there, whatever diet system, whatever you believe in, protein and macros, whatever you're talking about in your life that you believe in, whether you're trainers, whether you're nutritionists, whether you're doctors, whatever it is, just know that when you eat the eggs, it feeds the pathogens. And I hate to break it to everybody, but pathogens come from sources. They come from places. They come from petri dishes. They come from labs a long time ago. And you know how they were raised? They were raised by being fed food. One of the foods that fed them was chicken eggs. We eat the eggs, we feed our viruses, and we get sicker slowly over time. Celery juice is getting you better. It's killing pathogens. But if you keep on feeding your pathogens, then it's kind of working against you.
Right.
So that's a powerful tool there.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I haven't eaten eggs for 16 years, but I had no idea that. I've never heard anyone raise that about eggs before.
Yeah, well, it's information you're not going to hear anywhere else, and that's why people heal with medical medium information. Is because it's finally new information, information that is different, that no one even knew or thought about or understood. That's one of them right there. Wow. Same thing with the gluten. The gluten. Everybody thought gluten was just inflammatory. Nobody knew gluten actually is inflammatory because it feeds the bugs too.
Oh, wow.
I brought that to town. Wow. So whether anybody likes it or not, I brought that. And they may say, hey, well, he hears a voice, so I don't want that information. But no, guess what? They'll find that out pretty soon. I think even more people are talking about it. I think doctors are talking about it now because I've been putting it out there for so many years. The reason why people get sick on gluten and then someone else doesn't get sick on gluten, because you realize you can be 90 years old, eating gluten your whole life. You could be like 50 years old, you've eaten it your whole life, you never had a problem with gluten, and then someone can't even eat it at 16, 18, 25, and they have to take it out because they have certain pathogens inside their body that are feeding off of gluten itself and then creating inflammation. It's not the gluten creating it. So that's why that should be out too. You should get that out too, but there's a reason you should get gluten out. It's not like, oh, well, he's just saying no gluten because everybody says that. No, there's a reason. I know that reason. Learn about it. It'll help you.
Absolutely. Amazing. And are there any other lifestyle habits that could work against this?
It could work against it.
Where people are not.
Absolutely.
What I mean is, people are like, I'm not seeing the benefits.
Absolutely.
But it could be, you could be totally doing something else.
Incredible. No, an amazing question. Thank you for asking. So here's what you got to be concerned about. When you're using celery juice, to not bombard your celery juice with food too close to it. If you're drinking your celery juice and it's not on an empty stomach, you're not getting the benefits.
So it has to be on an empty stomach.
Has to be on an empty stomach. 16 ounces on an empty stomach is critical. That's where morning is best. If you got to do the afternoon, fine, and try to keep food away from it. So if any lifestyle of eating, whatever you've adopted with any kind of food lifestyle whatsoever, you just need that celery juice on an empty stomach away from those other foods. That right there is critical too.
Morning or evening makes a difference? Or
morning's always best because that empty stomach in the morning, that hydrochloric acid gets built up, everything, and that's another part I want to talk about, that digestion, how the HCl builds up when you're drinking celery juice, why it builds up, how the stomach glands receive the celery juice and how they actually recharge and give you strong HCl, hydrochloric acid, and then you break down your food and your food doesn't rot inside of you and you actually get stronger at your digestion and your bloating goes down. That's another thing too that's really powerful.
Wow, that's super powerful. I had no idea about that. Yeah. So with the having in the morning, how long after do you eat breakfast?
Okay, try to give 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes after the celery juice is great. Okay, half an hour, probably even better. Somewhere around 20 minutes to a half an hour. I like a half an hour really being solid like that, but if someone needs fuel and they're doing something or they're running out of the house or whatever, I totally understand it. But try to do empty stomach. Try not to do coffee with it. Try not to put anything in that celery juice. If you throw apple cider vinegar in it, you just killed it. Right. Just killed it.
Lemon, apple
If you
cider
throw something
vinegar,
else in, I saw somebody out there saying, I'm going to put my collagen powder in here. I'm like, you just destroyed your celery juice. You're not going to see the benefits. So you can't, you have to keep it clean.
And not multiple times per day, just once a day.
No, you do the celery juice once a day, but I like a lot of people that have chronic illness do it twice a day.
Okay.
32 ounces. Do at the beginning 16 ounces, do 16 ounces at the end of the day. Absolutely. And try not to have it with food. That's the goal. But the truth is, you get the celery juice in you any way you possibly can, you're going to get some benefits, but these are maximizing it. This is why the book's critical. The book gives you all the information to how to really do this right. And if you think there isn't a lot of information to it, wait till you read the book and then your mind is blown and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe what can be done with celery juice, including like oral therapies and stuff for problems that people have, like they have, ulcers and all this stuff in their mouth. And this book is actually explained so much. And here's the most important part I love about this book is that there's almost 200 symptoms and conditions I talk about inside this book and what celery juice can do for it and why it's working. So if you have something you're suffering with, I talk about how the celery juice is helping you.
And I love, one of the things I do love about the book, seeing as I don't think there's ever been an audio file that has the word celery mentioned more than this right now, which is awesome, which I love. But what I love about the book is you also have a whole chapter dedicated to if people can't access celery and alternatives that they can take.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really refreshing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh wow, this is, it's a book about celery juice, but you're like, hey, if you can't get it, I mean, and I don't know why people can't get it, but maybe you can tell me that. But if there are places people can't access it, you suggest some alternatives.
Yeah,
share those with us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way to get celery juice. You can't get it. It's not even possible, or it's just not around. And there's nothing you can do. There's other things you can do. I like the cucumber juice. It won't do what celery juice does. I don't want anybody confused, but it does some different things. It hydrates the body in a different way than anything else could out there. It does hydrate the body. It does things that are really good for us. It's very cleansing, very purifying. It won't do what celery juice does, but it can be something you do for a week before you can find the celery juice again. So, juicing cucumbers is actually helpful. And someone said to me recently, he said, okay, so what? So let's just start juicing different things and that's going to, no. This cucumber juice isn't going to do it. It just isn't. But it's one of those backups to get you by for a little bit, like a week or a few days. But that's about it. I mean, honestly, it's going to have to be the celery juice, or it's really in the end, no go for what you're really, what you're really doing.
And I know you cover it in here, but I wanted to raise this because I know so much, not just of my audience, but just so many people in the world today. We're reading studies about it all the time. Mental health, depression, anxiety, stress. Yeah. What's celery juice doing on a deeper level for stress, anxiety, and depression?
Well, it's the ultimate adrenal, stabilizer. That's the other thing with this celery juice. I mean, it's so helpful. You got the electrolytes, got the sodium cluster salts, you got the heavy electrolytes in there. And adrenals need that. That's so important. The other thing is brain. That's the other thing. When you're dealing with electrolytes and neurotransmitter chemicals, electrical impulses, and that's in neurons, you're talking about de-stressing. Because here's the deal. Our brains get dirty toxins in them, heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, nickel, copper. They get into our brain. Someone said to me, they were like, hey, I don't have any metal in my head. What are you talking about? I said, did you ever have a fluoride treatment? Did you ever have a fluoride? I had tons of those all through my life. I go, that's a byproduct of aluminum right there. Byproduct of aluminum means it's still aluminum. It is part aluminum in a different form. It goes to the brain directly. So when you have that fluoride treatment, you're getting aluminum in there. It's in there. Has it left? No. There's nothing you're doing in your life to remove it. We also get mercury in the brain really easy. We come into this world with mercury in us from our forefathers and foremothers. Well, that's the whole thing. Our ancestors give us mercury. It's passed down. It doesn't leave. It gets constantly passed down generation to generation to generation. And it sits in us, and it sits in our brain. It sits in other places, and it even can trigger off higher anxiety in people. It can trigger off depression, having that mercury, having those other metals inside of us. And we collect them here. They're in our water. They're in other sources. We just get it in us. Celery juice helps loosen up those metals, stops them from oxidizing so they don't rust in our brain, so they don't break down our brain tissue, our glial cells and other parts of our brain. It's critical. It's just such a critical part of anxiety and depression. Celery juice does help with it.
And I love that because we're talking about this simple antidote in one sense, which is actually impact mental and physical health, which is actually quite rare because usually we look at them as separate. Usually it's like, okay, I do this for my body and I do this for my mind. Yeah. But here you've got one thing that's actually helping both.
Yeah. I've run across so many people and seen it throughout the years, and you see it on the internet now. My depression is alleviating. My anxiety is getting better. Things are getting better just from doing the celery juice. Crippling anxiety is so debilitating. People can't leave their houses. I've seen people suffer so greatly over the years, and when you don't have anxiety, you may not realize what they're going through. You may not know what they're going through when you don't have anxiety, because it's hard to get into that person's shoes. When you don't have it yourself, it doesn't really make sense. What do you mean you have anxiety? What do you mean you can't function? What do you mean you can't get out of the house and get in the car and you got to take anxiety medication? Because here's the deal. When you haven't been to a lot of doctors and you haven't struggled with your health, it's hard to get in touch with the ones that are struggling. It's an entirely different crew. When I get interviewed a lot, when media interviews me and I tell them, chronic illness, people are suffering, they're struggling. They never put that in there ever. That's why I have tremendous respect for your podcast, for what we're doing right here, because I'm able to talk about the ones that I fight for every single day. Because that's what I do. That's what I do. I fight for the people who are chronically ill and they don't get heard. That's the thing. I've been a messenger for them. I've been a voice for them all these years, to the people that are smart enough to know science and research hasn't had the answers for them. And doctors know that they haven't had the answers that they needed to move forward, and they suffered and struggled. Anxiety is one of those pieces of it. It's crippling. It can really stop someone from enjoying their life, not enjoying working, functioning, taking care of things, going to school. And, I've seen people, hey, my anxiety is starting to alleviate a little bit more, and it's worth everything. It is worth, even if you knock down that anxiety down 50%, 25%, the difference is someone being able to stay out all day or work a day in their career or start writing or do something with their life. Think about how empowering that is. And celery juice, when that does that for somebody with anxiety and you see that happen, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight for the celery juice. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to put myself on the firing line. Let's get this stuff out there more and more for people.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, that it's really been this organic emerging thing. Like, it's happened organically. It hasn't been funded. It hasn't had any money put into it. It's not an investment. It's been organic.
It's
growing
the first of its
through healing
time.
people, which is amazing. But you've also had organically a lot of celebrities and influencers reach out to you
Yeah,
who've
absolutely.
become fans of your work and supporters of your work.
Yeah, and I was asked recently too about this, and they said, "Well, what are they being paid to do it?" Said, "There's not one celebrity that got anything."
I was going to ask you that.
Oh no, I know, but it's a really good point because people think it. They're like, "What are they getting out of this?" What do you mean? What are they getting out of this? So let me tell you something about the celebrities that I know. Anyway, okay, I'm going to be straight out. Okay, they actually care about people suffering. They actually have tremendous compassion. They actually care about their fans, their followers. They care about people on the planet, and they really, really do. It matters to them. They're drinking celery juice. It makes them feel better, and it gets them healthier, right? So they can be a more powerful voice in what they're doing, changing the world. But it's even more than that. The celebrities I know, James Vanderbeek and Jenna Dewan and so many others, and Sly Stallone and so many others, they care about people. They want people to feel better. It matters to them. And
Because they've been through pain too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've been through a lot in their own lives. And so when they see people, that are struggling, that are getting better because they know they're spreading that information about celery juice, it matters. It matters to their souls. It matters to everybody to know that people are getting better. Celebrities have tremendous compassion. The ones I know, unbelievable people, and it's just great that they're doing. Pharrell, he's out there. He cares about people, cares about humankind. And this right here, it's not measurable. It's unmeasurable. It's that powerful. It's that incredible.
I love it, man. This podcast has been such an education for me. And I hope that everyone listening and watching, I've been able to ask some of those questions that you'll be thinking about too, because I'm coming at a point of just learning, being a student and someone who wants to experiment with this. So all of my questions have been from my own desire to be an experimenter with this. I'm excited to see its impact on my life. And I'm hoping everyone listening and watching today has got some of the information to get you going. But I really, really hope that you're going to go and get the book, because the book's going to break it down for you.
Yeah,
and the book's going to stop you from doing a 1 week test, which is a fad, to actually making it sustainable. And one of the biggest reasons I see the difference between us having a habit that we do for 1 week versus sustainable is when we're deeply convinced of the reasons. Yeah. When you've sat here and you've read this book, and after you've read this book, if you haven't got every reason you need to go and drink celery juice for the rest of your life, then that will be harder to give up. Yeah. Whereas if you just think, oh yeah, I'm going to try this. This is cool. Celery juice, good podcast. I loved it. And you're going to try it for a week and you're going to stop.
Yeah.
So take my recommendation, go get the book, get the deeper reasons and insights on how to take it, why to take it, and what to do with your life around it to support it. And that will start making the biggest differences,
exactly.
I feel. So we're going to end this episode with the final 5. These are final 5 questions. Usually answers are either 1 word or 1 sentence maximum. So this is going to be a big challenge for Anthony, because he's so, what I love about you, just have so much to say, but it's all it's all in depth. Like, it's real. Your insights are awesome. So I'm going to try and get you to 1 word or 1 sentence, but we're going to see how it goes. So question number 1 is, what's the biggest health myth you've ever heard?
There's so many of them.
Tell us your favorite one.
All right. Metabolism.
Okay, go on. I'm going to let you tell me more.
Metabolism.
You've got so much to do.
Yeah. Metabolism just... means that we're alive. The discovery of metabolism just means that we're alive. We're living. We have blood flowing through us. Okay. And that no one really knew that really. Metabolism was just the discovery of, hey, you're eating, you're burning fuel, you're a living organism, you're a living being, right? But it's not why people gain weight, slow metabolism. And that's one of the greatest myths out there. They're gaining weight from livers that are stagnant and sluggish. Everybody's livers are bombarded. They're toxic. That's why I came out with Liver Rescue, the book, because their livers are challenged and they're filled with toxins. And that's what puts the weight on. That's what makes things the lymphatic system gets swollen with water. The weight comes on, the belly fat. It's from a weak liver, sick liver, stagnant, sluggish liver. It's not from metabolism. Still to this day, I'm sure everybody in the audience right now, my God, who's been totally just fed metabolism for the last 30, 40, 50, whatever it is, they're just going to be all upset. But I just trying to drop the truth on you on that one. It's a liver. You take care of your liver, and you take care of that, and then everything starts getting better with weight and what we think is metabolism problems.
Amazing. Yeah, you're going to the root. I like it. Okay, question number 2. If you could give everyone in the world a habit to do for 30 days, apart from drinking celery juice every day, what would it be?
The heavy metal detox smoothie I offer.
Okay.
Get the metals out. Get them out of the body. That's the key. I mean, okay, there's so many different habits you can do. I get it. There's so many for your consciousness, so much for just mental, so much different physical ones you can do. But getting metals out, that's the habit right there. Get some cilantro in you. Get some spirulina in you. Know the right ones, the ones I care about, because those are the ones that actually work. Get some things in you. Pull the metals out. I talk about it. The heavy metal detox smoothie, that's the one right there. You pull metals out, things change too. It's like the celery juice, the heavy metal detox smoothie. Get into that habit. Get into the celery juice habit. There you go.
Awesome. Question number 3. What are the top 3 things on your grocery list?
Celery. Oh my God. Celery's okay. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
That's a given. Yeah. Okay. Another one, wild blueberries.
Okay.
That's the second one right there.
Because?
Wild blueberries, the antioxidants.
Okay.
That's a whole nother food. Wild versus cultivated blueberry. The one in the clamshell, the pint-sized clamshell, that is the cultivated blueberry. It's the big blueberry. It doesn't do a fraction of what the frozen wild blueberry. You go into the freezer section and you go in there, you'll see different brands. I mean, I use the Wyman's one. There's another brand that's there. There's different brands, but you get the frozen wild blueberries. That's oh my God, that food. So celery, that, and I love apples.
Okay.
It's got to be a must. Yeah.
Give me another one. Let's have one more, seeing as we go for 4.
All right. Papaya.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another one. And then, mosh.
Okay.
People call it mâché, but mosh. It's a green. It's an amazing green. There's not enough of it out there, but you can find it. Go to the health food store. That green is great. Leafy greens are good.
Awesome. Okay, question 4. Tell us about the top 3 herbs that you couldn't live without.
Lemon balm, can't live without it. Helps the neurological system. I've used it to actually help people with anxiety, depression, of course, but also with neurological problems, tics, spasms, tingles, numbness. It's antiviral too, like celery juice. When you bring that lemon balm in there, it's a big deal. That one. Nettle leaf, another incredible herb without a doubt. I've been recommending it since I was a kid because of spirits. It's literally right off the start recommending it. So nettle leaf, that's anti-inflammatory, of course. Why? It also is antiviral in its own right. Great medicine. And of course, turmeric. Which is a spice, but in a rhizome, but turmeric. It's amazing. So I like that one, even though it's, but you got lemon balm, nettle leaf, and then licorice root's another one I like.
Amazing. And the final 5, question 5, what's the best way we can all start listening to our body more? Because I think for so many of us, we're constantly going through changes, right? We're constantly you could be going through pain and just having it there and sit there for so long without listening. How do people, we may not all be able to listen to spirits or channel or learn, but how can we all listen to our bodies better?
There's one thing that people have have to realize, it's one of the most incredible ones, that when we get sick, it's not our body letting us down. It's not our bodies being faulty. It's not our body being a bad physical, aspect of us. It's not our body giving up on us. And most importantly, it's not our body destroying us or going after our immune system or going after our organs or going after anything. What I'm trying to say is your body doesn't hurt you. It doesn't destroy you. It doesn't go after anything. And we need to know that our body never attacks itself. And it's the first thing everybody thinks. They think their body's failing. So no matter what, okay, there's one of the greatest tools is if you start experiencing anything, mental, emotional, physical, your body is not going after you or hurting you or attacking you. That's the most important. That can protect you, because we can't, there's people out there, you can tell them what to do on how to listen to their body or anything, but they might not be able to do it, or they might be too busy or forget it. But what they will do is their body's letting them down. The minute as an athlete, you think your body's failing you. Anything, it's just in life, when we're sick, we think our body has now said, hey, we're not helping you. I'm not helping you. And that's it. If you know your body loves you unconditionally, it's there for you. It's fighting for you in ways you cannot even imagine. That can bring you peace and get you to where you need to be faster and better.
Well, I was not expecting that answer, but I love that answer. That judgment that we place on our body immediately is actually one of the most negative things.
It is.
Like that language.
It's the most.
That language around my body's attacking me, my body's letting me down, my body's failing, my body's not strong enough.
Yes.
That language is actually programming us to lead to not doing anything about it.
It's an evil seed that sits inside every human being. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're meditating on top of a mountain, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. The minute something's going wrong, you go right to, my body is now, wait a minute, turning against me in the moment. And what do I need to do to fix it? No, it's not turning against you. That's how it works.
That is such an awesome answer, man. I absolutely love that. And I hope that message is resonating very, very clear. The way we think about our body, talk about our body, talk to our body itself is going to have a huge impact. Anthony William, thank you so much. Anthony's new book, Celery Juice, The Most Powerful Medicine of Our Time, Healing Millions Worldwide, is out right now. You can order it from all the good places where books are sold. The Medical Medium on Instagram, The Medical Medium on Facebook. Where else can they find you?
Hey, there, and medicalmedium.com.
Also,
get to me right there. Yeah, that's a great place.
Brilliant.
To go.
Make sure you go follow Anthony on social media at The Medical Medium across the platforms, medicalmedium.com, and make sure that if this has given you some insight on why celery juice could be so powerful, it could truly change your life, go and get the book today as well. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here.
No, it's an honor to meet you, man. I'm excited to do a reading with you and get some advice. I genuinely am. I want to do that next time we're here.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said is so true, that until we really go through pain, and that's how it was for me too. Because I felt like I'd mastered my mind and neglected my body.
Yeah.
And so when my body started to give me signs that it needed more love and care, that's when I started to realize, because while you're young, you just feel like Superman. And you feel like nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
And so I totally get you. And so if anyone here is listening and you're like, well, I haven't got any problems yet, or my life's not too bad, that's the time to start really taking note.
It is.
But yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to meet you. Happy to have you here.
Blessed.
Hope that was good for you. And we're not going to edit anything out. So everyone's going to get the real, raw, as it is version of this conversation. If you're listening to this right now, you're going to get it as it is. We haven't edited anything. We haven't taken anything out. That was awesome. That was Anthony William. Make sure you go follow him on social media. Thank you so much for listening or watching again. We love you being a part of this community. Make sure you tag me and Anthony on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and share what you've learned from this podcast. We'd also love to see your journeys. If you want to map your diary of taking celery juice for a week, 2 weeks, a month, hopefully for life and for the rest of the year, then make sure you tell us about it. Tag at Medical Medium and tag me as well.